Hi there. This is a video about how to learn math. It's also a video about even and odd numbers. So we're sort of learning about the facts that even plus even is even, and odd plus odd is even, and even plus odd is odd. But in the process, we're also going to be talking about how you go about learning this information in the first place, because that is the thing which is going to make the biggest difference to how successful you are at learning math and being able to use the math that you learn, and is also going to be what basically decides whether you enjoy the subject or not. So, how do you learn the facts I just mentioned? So, even and even, odd plus odd, and even plus odd. What do these make? So, the most obvious thing to do, and what most people do, is they use their memories, or at least they try to use their memories. Problem with math is that it's so abstract, it's so full of words and symbols, and blah, that it's really difficult to remember. It just is. It's really, really difficult to simply remember. And even if you do remember something successfully the first time round, fast forward 2 or 3 weeks, and chances are it's just completely disappear from your brain. And particularly if you then go on and learn other things, then the stuff that you learned, a couple of weeks ago, forget it. I mean, you've forgotten it. So it's not ideal. And the problem with memory is that if you do forget, you don't really have a backup. You don't really know what to do. Now, the biggest problem with memory maybe is that you hope you'll remember, and you look for little clues or little patterns that make things more memorable, and in fact sometimes that can really backfire. Basically the brain is clawing, looking to try and hang on to anything. So listen to this and see how you want to finish off what I'm about to say. Even plus even is even, odd plus odd is, probably you want to say odd. If you know that the correct answer is even, you'll have said even. But even so, you can see that you want to say odd plus odd is odd. That's what it's a memory, or looking for patterns, the kind of things our brain wants to do. Memory really is not a very helpful, successful way of going about doing math. And I guarantee you now, it is also the way that means that it's the most effort. It's quite a lot of drudgery just trying to sit down and remember things over and over and over again, particularly if they're not sticking. So what can we do? Well, there are two other ways that we can go about doing this. One of them is not as good, but it works, and it's the way that most other people go about doing this, and that is essentially experimenting. Okay, so this, rather than being a sort of mathsy approach, this is more like a scientific-y kind of approach. And so you have to say, for example, what is an odd number plus an odd number? So what you do is you pick an odd number, say 5. So we've picked an odd number, 5, and we pick another odd number, say 1. Okay, and we add them together. We have 5 plus 1, and we get 6. So 5, odd number, 1, odd number, add them together. What do we get? Even number, 6. Okay, so that odd number plus that odd number made an even number. Maybe we don't feel absolutely certain, so we take another option, another attempt at this, and we go, I don't know, 3. Let's go for 3. 3 plus, I don't know, let's go with 3 again. So odd plus odd. Odd number 3 plus odd number 3. Put them together, what do we get? We get 6 again. That's an even number. So odd plus odd again makes 6. So what does this tell us? Well, we kind of conclude from that, look, odd numbers plus odd numbers, that makes even numbers, right? Are we certain? Nah, maybe there's some huge odd number somewhere and another, I don't know, unthinkably large odd number where if you add them together you won't get an even number. Maybe you'll get an odd number. I'm not entirely sure, but certainly it seems that an odd number plus an odd number makes an even number. And because somebody's asked me what does odd plus odd make, it's going to be even, isn't it? Okay? So you can see this works. It works, and it's not stupid, and it's a perfectly sensible way to do it. But it's not satisfying, it's not conclusive, and it's also something where you sort of forget what to do, and then you go, oh, okay, hang on a second, I'm just going to figure it out. And so you have to stop everything and stop to think about it and figure it out, and then you come up with the answer again, right? So what's the third way? The third way, the best way, and this is the way which is absolutely the key to really getting to understand and enjoy math. And that is to understand what the words mean and deduce the conclusion as a result of your knowledge. So, in order to understand why odd plus odd is even, you have to first of all understand what it is to be an odd number. Well, you might know that the odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, and so on and so on and so on. Basically 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 on and on in a loop. And just like the even numbers are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 0 on a loop, right? But that doesn't tell you what an odd number is. So an odd number is a number which, when you break it up into pairs, you have this odd man out. That is in contrast to an even number. So an even number is a number which, when you break it up into pairs, it makes pairs. Okay? Why pairs? Well, because even means fair. Okay, so even ground is ground that is fair, like this. If I get even with you, then I make things fair, so I'm no longer down somehow. And perhaps most obviously, if we all go out and play a game together, we kind of want there to be even numbers on each team. Now, even numbers on each team means that we're going to have the same number of people on each team. Okay, so I'm going to show you this with some coins. I have no idea how many coins I have here. I just don't have any idea. But I do know that I can start splitting them into teams like this. And one for you, one for me, 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 and one left over. Right? So these coins here, because they make even teams, they can be paired off. So one person from this team meets one person from that team, one from here and one from there, one from here, 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 one from there, here, one from here, one from there, and then we have this odd man out. And that is how I know that this here is an odd number. Okay, so I have pairs, 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 pairs. That is what it is to be even. And then I have an odd man out who doesn't have a fellow to match up with. That's why this is odd. Okay, so what happens though with an odd plus an odd? Well, let's say for example I just break this up again, and I'm going to lose one there, and I say here's an odd number, so that will be pairs, 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 and one odd man out. Don't count them up, there's no need to count them up. Over here we've got pairs, 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 and again an odd man out. What happens when I put them together? Well, when I put them together, I'm going to end up with lots and lots and lots of pairs, and the two odd men out meet together and they form another pair. So what do I end up with? Pairs, 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 pairs. And that is an even total. So this shows you that an odd number plus an odd number, however big it is, however crazy it is, whatever, an odd and odd will always make an even total, because odd has an odd man out, odd has an odd man out, put them together, those two odd men out get together, they form another pair, and that's what it is to be even. Similarly, we can very quickly decide that even plus even is even, because even has pairs, put them together, we just have lots of pairs. So even plus even, that's pairs and pairs is pairs. It's lots and lots of pairs. Okay? And then finally, even and odd. Even is pairs, odd has an odd man out. So we have all these pairs, and then here we have one man left over, and he doesn't have anyone to match up with, so even and odd, still got an odd man out, it's odd. Okay? And so there we go. That is how we know that even and even is even, and odd plus odd man out, makes even. And then the even plus odd makes odd. Notice how satisfying this is for the brain. Notice how it's so clear, it's so obvious, it becomes something you go, oh yeah, of course, I get that. And then it's something you can use, and it's something that you can enjoy, and it's something you just carry with you, and then you're able to apply whenever it turns out to be useful, or whenever it turns up. And in fact, this is what allows us to build the next layer of knowledge on top of the last layer of knowledge. And so ultimately, we understand more and more and more, and things get easier and easier and easier. Okay? I hope you've enjoyed this video. We have been looking at the even and odd numbers. We've been looking at how you know than even plus even is even, odd plus odd is even, even plus odd is odd. Is it memory? Is it sort of scientific experiments? Or is it deduction? Well, those are three perfectly valid ways of going about trying to do it. But hopefully you see memory really is not the way to go about doing math. Experiment kind of works, but it's a bit of a grind. You have to do some effort, and it doesn't really stick with you as being just perpetually and eternally true. But if you can deduce the information and understand why it's true, you'll have that forever, and you'll understand exactly why odd plus odd makes even. Thanks very much for watching.